Hello, my name is Matthew, and Steve Donahue and I are reading Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry in the month of June. This is part of our read along, our book club of two. And for this week, at the end of the week, we're now at the halfway point of the book, about 500 pages in. And when I started this book, I'd never read it before. The first 200 pages or so I thought were great. And even the first page or two, I knew that I was in very capable hands, the hands of Larry McMurtry. And there's this terrific ambling style of storytelling. The beginning of the book really feels slow and comfortable. There's not much action that really happens. We're just being introduced to these characters, these great characters. Captain Augustus McCrae and Captain Woodrow Call and the rest of the band that are a part of the Hat Creek outfit and the town of Lonesome Dove, the people that are in the saloon, and then Lorena, who's the first main female character, a prostitute that's had a terrible, unfortunate, tragic life. She's not where she wants to be. She has dreams of going to San Francisco. Gus and Call, who are lifelong friends. They're both older guys now, and they've lived a storied life. They were Texas Rangers fighting off Mexican bandits and Indians, and were just known to be these legendary figures who did amazing, incredible feats that are talked about all throughout the country. But that's in their past, and now they're these older guys. After the battle with the Indians has settled down, they're just living this very slow, small life. Gus spends his time talking and arguing and sitting on the porch and drinking whiskey. Call, who is this piston of a person, just this working engine that never idles. And so he's constantly working on the farm, trying to fix it up, getting the well working, and all these other characters. Finally, Captain Jake Spoon arrives. It's an old friend who pops up unexpectedly, and he gets this notion into Call's head to pack everything up and go off to Montana and start a cattle ranch and get land and be successful and prosper. Jake, of course, we learn someone that is unreliable, less capable, gets distracted easily. He gets his eyes on Lorena, and she wants to go to San Francisco. He's making all of these promises, none of which he wants to keep. He's just an idle talker. And there's a bit of an adventure where they they go into Mexico, they pass the border, and collect like 100 cattle, 100 cows, and bring them back. It's the most action that we get in the first part of the book, but nothing really happens. They meet the two Irishmen who overshot America entirely and found themselves in Mexico. But a little bit of a frenzy, but they get back with the cattle, and it was for a job to give someone else their cattle back, and now they're going to go up to Montana. 250 pages have gone by, and now they're about to go. The second part of this book, I thought the first part was great. At the halfway point of this novel now, I know that I'm reading something special, something that is that special feeling of reading something truly impressive and amazing. Just an extreme high level of entertaining, great literature. And there are a couple things that were um, almost deceptive. I felt that this was going to be this slow, ambling, kind of rosy, romanticized story of these old guys going up to Montana. When the action starts, everything happens all at once. The first really big surprise in this novel was that we break entirely from all of the principal characters that we've been spending all this time with. So Jake Spoon, when he arrived to Lonesome Dove, he was actually running away from Fort Worth, Arkansas, because he had accidentally shot a man, and so he's on the run from the law. And we're told he's trying to figure out where he wants to go. He's in hiding. Well, we go to that town and we see all of the repercussions, ramifications of this man shooting an innocent bystander. He's in a saloon and he shoots his gun. It goes straight through the wall across the street and hits a banker. Well, we spend time in this town and we get all of these new characters, a whole new cast of characters, and it's still great. We learn about the sheriff and the deputy, the sheriff's wife who despises him, the banker's family. They're putting pressure on the sheriff to go after Jake Spoon, and it really feels like Mayberry with uh, Sheriff Andy Taylor and Deputy Barney Fife, where all of a sudden the novel as a whole, the differences in these characters by comparison really give you a relative idea of capability. So the sheriff is a small town sheriff, usually breaks up domestic violence issues or locks up a drunk like Otis. He is not prepared to go across the country looking for a man that murdered someone on the street. And Jake Spoon is a notoriously dangerous, capable, legendary figure like Gus and Call. The deputy, Roscoe, is totally incompetent, not too dissimilar from the bumbling Barney Fife. And all this stuff starts happening. July is going to take his wife's name is Ellie or Elmira. He's going to take Elmira's son to go off to try to find Jake Spoon. So off they go. As soon as they leave, Elmira, who had a previous husband that was a secret, she had a secretive past. As soon as they leave, she packs up, jumps on a whiskey boat, and starts going up who knows where. The bumbling deputy, Roscoe, was supposed to watch after her, didn't do his job. The family comes down and says, well, Ellie's gone. Now, you need to start chasing after Jake Spoon. You have to start going after July, who's chasing Jake Spoon, to let him know that his wife ran out of town. So we and then we go back to Gus McCrae and Call going up north. It's really these levels of July just being really apprehensive about his tracking abilities, being out in the country, being able to find this person. The deputy, who's one of my favorite characters, Roscoe, when he leaves because he gets stuck in this impossible position. He wants to just hang out in the local jailhouse, and this is all the stuff that's happening that Roscoe gets put in the middle of. It gives you an idea of like how much stuff is happening. Jake should have kept his pistol handier and not resorted to a buffalo gun. Benny Johnson should have been paying attention to his dentistry and not walking around in the street in the middle of the day. July shouldn't have married Elmira if she was going to run off, and of course Elmira certainly had no business getting on the whiskey boat. So all these people are causing all this trouble, doing all these things, which puts Roscoe in this miserable predicament. He has to go off to find July, and he just has no idea what he's doing. And we get adventures with him running into a woman where she's a woman that Roscoe had never met, a woman that had this presence and confidence. She just says, well, why don't you marry me? Drop all of this, stay here, we'll get married, you learn how to be a farmer. He's just totally taken aback. Later on, he falls asleep at this cabin where there's this threatening, abusive, lumbering, large man who has a young girl in a cabin. While he's sleeping, he can hear the man abusing and beating her. He just hightails it because he doesn't want anything to do with any of this. The girl starts following him. It's Janie, another great female character. At first, this book feels like a boys' club. We have all these men, and then just Lori. But Janie, the girl that's now following Roscoe to get away from the abusive drunken man. We have Elmira on the boat being eyed up by this other man, big somebody. With all of this adventure, all this chasing around, we really get different perspectives on what it's like to live in this time period and what threats are all around these characters in different ways. How women are moving through the country. How an incompetent, bumbling deputy stumbles and makes his way. A more competent, but less capable sheriff, less capable than the likes of Gus and Call. How he's making it to Texas. He's worried that he's even going to find Texas. It amazes me to think about all of these people being able to find anybody. And then, with all of that, when we go back to Gus and Call, they are now these really impressive figures. It's been described throughout this whole book that they're living in a hostile world. Everything can kill them. Things from rattlesnakes and centipedes crawling in your ear, an accidental bite by a horse on your rib, floods and thunderstorms and droughts, bandits, Indians, Mexicans, the law. And Call and Gus are just so confident in their abilities, so capable, that they are rarely fazed by anything. They take everything in stride. They've been through it all. You really get that sense when we compare it to these other characters who, on different levels, are just not as capable of these two amazing characters. One of my favorites, and there are many, many great scenes in this book. There's a thunderstorm scene, which is terrifying, lightning bolts coming down. The river crossing scene where the one Irishman dies this horrific death. He steps on while he's in the water, he steps on a snake nest. These snakes just come out and bite him all over and kill him. They have to drag him out of the river. I love everything with the deputy Roscoe, especially one of the things that happens towards the end of the halfway point. But Gus and Call decide to go to San Antonio, I believe. They walk into this saloon. They look like old, grizzled, dusty cowboys, and they go in to have a drink. They're also there looking for a cook, and the they're walking into a saloon that they practically built. They practically built this town. They knew the owner. Their picture, Gus and Call, their pictures on the wall. And there's this young bartender who is just being insolent and rude and not tending the bar, and instead is just making insults, saying like, don't bring all that dust in here. I don't need two old cowboys dirtying up the saloon. So Gus, who's been this like laid back figure throughout the whole book, grabs the bartender by the head, slams his face into the bar, breaks his nose, blood is gushing out. He's still calm and capable, and talking in a way that is just, I I'm not going to be threatened. I'm not going to be treated like this. I'm Captain Augustus McCrae. This is Captain Call. I'm going to break your nose and you're going to serve me whiskey. I'm going to throw whiskey bottles, whiskey glasses in the air and shoot them. There's nothing you can do about it. Really eye-opening character development with Gus. All the other characters know, everyone in the bar, everyone knows Gus and Call as soon as they walk in. The sheriff gets called down. And the sheriff sees Gus and Call as these legends. The bartender's screaming and yelling and throwing a fit and having a tantrum. And the sheriff's like, it's gonna get worse off. They're not going to jail. This is Gus and Call. Really great scene. We start finally having characters come together. A lot of the drama and suspense is now that everyone's chasing around the country, chasing each other, trying to find different people. It's now when, where, how are these intersections going to happen? This is a long novel, and it's a big novel. We have a lot of characters. It's also a vast novel. The distances, the landscape, the feeling of the hugeness of the United States, but also the United States of the time, where it felt boundless, would just go on forever. And they're on horses or wagons. The pace is slow, and the sky is big. That really comes through in this book, in this story. We start getting intersections. July, it's this really sad scene. He's in this little town and finds out that he actually got mail. And he thinks it's going to be from his wife, and he knows that his wife isn't very happy, but he loves her, and he's trying to do what he can to make her happy. And he had been writing this letter. He was going to mail it in the post, and the postman says, "Oh, you're from Arkansas. Any chance that your last name is whatever it is, Smith?" And there's a letter. There's a letter for July, and he thinks it's going to be from his wife, and he has butterflies and feelings of expectation and happiness. And instead of it being from his wife, it's from someone else in the town. I think it's the banker's wife, or I think Peach, letting him know that Elmira left him, and now his deputy is trying to find him. And it just crushes him as soon as he leaves. And he's devastated and asking himself, well, if she didn't love me, why did she marry me? Now he's trying to decide what to do. Is he going off to still find Jake Spoon? Is he going to go off to try to find his wife? Is he going to try to find his deputy, who's probably lost somewhere? So the deputy got hooked up with this really great character, Janie. It's this string bean of a thing, barefoot and light as a sprite, just bounces around, can keep up with a trotting horse, and is very useful for Roscoe. She can catch things, she can follow a trail, make a fire, get things to eat. She knows the difference between west and east, and he's now has a fellow traveling mate. They get in this they get held up by these bandits, and the bandits they have the deputy at gunpoint. They strip him naked. Janie was had her hands tied, and they're being robbed. And Roscoe believes that he's about to die. He's had all of his earthly possessions. We learned he only had these clothes, and Janie escapes, starts throwing rocks hilariously, very well aimed and strong throws, and she's cracking these bandits in the head. All of this is resolved when July shows up and solves the whole thing. Was able to get Roscoe, get the girl. He has his boy Joe, takes the bandits back to the prison, and off they're going to go. Now, Jake Spoon promised Lorena, they're going to go up to Montana, then they're going to go to San Francisco. Immediately, he doesn't like this. They're bickering and not having a good time. Jake goes to San Antonio. He has a bender where he's just gambling for days. Gus, who visits Lori for breakfast each morning, while they're there, Blue Duck, who's this the Indian that got away. He was this monstrous, murdering, psychotic Indian, would torture and kill people, and he's a terrible Indian. He shows up, and then just as quickly as he's there, he just goes off. Gus is sitting there, has his hat on, unfazed. Says, I should have shot him. Goes back, tells Cole. Cole, meanwhile, got a cook. This great character. His name's like Poe Campo or something. I can't remember now. But he's his cook, and he starts making these eggs, and the whole camp loves him. And then he fries up grasshoppers and dips them in molasses, and they love them. Well, after a whole other thing, because I have to start wrapping up, Lori was kidnapped by the Indian. We get a whole description of just this horrifying scene of how she's treated, and the fast-paced travel that the Indian is putting her through that she's not accustomed to. And now we have Gus chasing after the Indian to save Lori. That's pretty much where we are now. We have all these people chasing around all over the country. It's just everything is happening all at once. So, and it's clear as could be. I mean, all of these characters feel unique, as if they've lived lives, had experiences, have personalities and senses of humor. Whether or not it's the principal characters or just someone sitting at the saloon, everyone just feels so real. I'm loving it. Just amazing. So that's all what I'll say. There's so much stuff. I could talk for an hour. So we're at the halfway point of Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. I can't wait to hear Steve's thoughts on the book so far. Let me know if you're reading along or if you've read it, your thoughts on the book as well. And thank you for watching. Please leave a comment if you would like, and take care.